All right, let's get to the White House now, where it's been 6 months since President Trump made his political comeback and took office as the 47th president. Now, new CBS News polling shows strong support from the president from his base, but many Americans are also questioning some of the administration's priorities. Our CBS News YouGov poll found Trump's overall job rating approval at 42%, with 58% disapproving. Now, that's down from 53% in February and closer to where it was for much of his first term. Support for a key part of Trump's domestic policy is slipping as Americans voice concerns about who is getting caught up in a ramped-up immigration crackdown. CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes is joining us now from Washington. Nancy, thank you for joining us today. What do the numbers tell us about concerns over these immigration crackdowns?
Hi, Mugo. It's great to see you. What these numbers show us is that Americans are growing somewhat concerned, not necessarily about the actions that the Trump administration is taking to seal off the border, but some of the actions that it is taking to round up immigrants and send them back home. Specifically, what we see in this polling is that while the president's MAGA base is sticking with him, there are more and more independents and Democrats and even some Republicans who say that they think that the administration is being too aggressive in sending people who aren't necessarily dangerous criminals back to their home country, rounding them up. They want the administration to focus on people who are dangerous. And they also have concerns about some of the deportation facilities that have been set up here in the U.S. to house these individuals before they are sent back. We're talking about places like Alligator, Alcatraz. And then finally, what you see is Americans saying that they feel that the administration may be focusing too much on immigration and not enough on their key issues, which are the economy and prices.
Yeah, and you mentioned Trump's support amongst his base there, which is admittedly still very strong. But does the slip in his overall numbers show any advantage for Democrats when we're looking ahead to 2026?
Sure, it could, especially if the numbers stay that way heading into the midterm elections. The popularity of the president always has a bearing on how his party does in midterm elections. And the bottom line is that we see in this polling that people still care a lot about the economy and about prices, as they always do. And so what it's most likely going to come down to, Mugo, is even if this polling shows that people aren't big fans, for example, of tariffs, if their bank accounts look pretty good a year from now, then maybe they're going to feel differently about tariffs. That is the number one issue.
That is very true. Good point there. So, Nancy, our polling showed up to 50% of Republicans, they're satisfied with the administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case. But then 89% of those polled want to see all DOJ files released. How does the White House handle this moving forward?
Right. So interesting, right? On one hand, you've got MAGA Republicans saying we support the president, what he's doing when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein and those files. On the other hand, they're saying, but get them all out there. We don't feel like we have enough information. And so it appears that the administration's getting something of a grace period with the base right now, but they're getting a very clear message that that base wants to see these files released, if at all possible.
We'll see if that ever happens. CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes, thank you so much for your time today.